Hey, Juan here. In this video, we are going to talk about 7 productivity tips which are actually used by tech companies. So if you're familiar with tech companies, you probably know that tech companies tend to be quite productive, or they're very famous for being productive. Why they are so productive is because they have certain methods and ways of working that help them being very productive and making sure that they are optimizing the ways of working as much as possible. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the productivity hacks that these companies are actually using in their normal ways of working. These productivity tips can help you no matter what you are doing. They can help you in your normal life when you want to achieve pretty much anything, whether if you are just training, if you want to advance in some hobby, or if you want to use these ones for work. If you want to make sure that you are more productive in your work, these tips, these productivity tips, they're actually going to help you be much more productive in your daily work or when you are trying to achieve your goals, whether it is in your hobbies or whatever it is. Número uno, all these companies understand why they are doing something. They all have a goal that they want to achieve. They understand what they want to be in the future. It is very important that no matter what task you are going to do, you understand how this task is helping you achieving your goal. The number 2 is going to be prioritize. Many times we hear people talking about checklists. Checklists are great. They help you understand how to break down tasks or bigger projects into smaller tasks. They help you make concrete, actionable items that you actually can take throughout your day, your week, your month, to make sure that you are advancing your work. But just checklists as such, or these different tasks, are not actually going to tell you if you are actually achieving or getting closer to your goal. Being able to have a backlog of tasks that you can actually prioritize and then organize in an order of how these tasks are helping me achieve my goals, either if it's in my work or if it's in my hobby, is going to help you a lot when it comes to being able to deliver and achieve your goals and those long-term milestones that you might have set for yourself. I actually made recently a video where I talk about different prioritization frameworks. I will link it up here if you are interested in taking a look into it. The number 3 is focus. Make sure that you are actually working in one task at a time. This is critical for you to actually advance on those tasks. Multitasking is great. People love to say that they are great at multitasking, but in general, when we're multitasking and when we're trying to achieve many things at the same time, we tend to spread our effort too much, which means that it's very difficult for us to be able to concentrate on one task and actually deliver it all the way until its end. It's much better when you concentrate on one task, take that task from the beginning, plan it, understand it, start working on it, close it, deliver it.
Move on to the next task.
Move on to the next task.
Move on to the next task. It's much easier for you to concentrate on one task at a time because mentally it's a much then you can actually put all your effort, all your concentration in actually working on that task than when you're trying to jump from one thing to another, where you typically tend to not to do such a good work when it comes to the actual concentration and being able to deliver that task properly. And if you think about it, if you are closing tasks, then you are actually seeing progress. When you're working in many things at the same time, it is very difficult to close them all. Many of them, they might fall behind because you have not had the time, or you have not had the time to pay attention, or you just forgot about them because it just happens. When you're able to close tasks all the time, then you see the advance. You see that milestones are actually reached and you are constantly moving forward. Number 4, track it down. Make sure that you track your progress, that you understand where you are in a task. What are you doing? What is my backlog? I understand that I have a prioritized list of tasks. I have taken a task and now it's in progress, or it's being reviewed by somebody else, or it's being delivered to, I don't know, I need to upload the video to YouTube. Whatever it is, that you are able to track that task in its life cycle so that you understand where you are at with the progress of a certain task. This will help you a lot to know when you have closed tasks, when you can move to the next one, what can be the different steps that you actually had to follow in order to close a task. There are many tools out there, some of them really good ones that are going to help you being able to do this, that they're going to help you doing this kind of task management. They are from more simple ones, something like Trello, to more complex ones in something like Jira, all the way to GitHub. Recently, I actually have been using Notion and I'm pretty happy with that one. I might be looking on some of these different alternatives when it comes to tracking tasks, tracking issues, and some kind of project management, product management tools that will help you make your life easier. I might be looking into making a video about this sometime in the future. I think that could be an interesting topic. What do you think? Would you like to see something like this? Let me know in the comments below. Número 5. Make sure that you are strategic when you are planning your tasks. This is very related to what I talk in step number 2, prioritize. You have to make sure that you understand how do you build that progression for you to get to whatever goal you're setting. So you have to make sure that you are strategic from the point of view that I understand what are those key points that I had to follow, that I had to make sure that I continuously deliver in order to achieve my goals. Being strategic, what it means is that you are setting some key cornerstones that will help you prioritize your tasks. So being able to be strategic is going to help you being able to build this prioritized backlog, where I know that these are the first stepping stones that I had to build in the beginning. These are the foundations of my idea, of my goal, of my work, and how can I get all the way up to where I want to be in the future. An example of being strategic, you can think about Tesla. Obviously, one of the strategies for Tesla is to develop electric vehicles. They will never be thinking about investing or investigating anything related to petrol engines. They are going to focus all the time in electric vehicles. Another part of their strategy is that they had to have the proper infrastructure for those electric vehicles to work. And this is why they have built this supercharger network. And this is one of the reasons why the competition is struggling so much with them, because Tesla is providing already a huge infrastructure for their vehicles to be used on the market. Number 6, in order to increase your productivity, you have to make sure that you adopt a mindset. This means that you have a way of working that everybody works in a similar way. Establish common ways of working in the company. This can be different types of frameworks, it can be principles, it can be mindsets. There are many of them, and they are going to help you to work in a certain type of way. And if everybody that you're working with, whether you're alone or with other people, and you all work in the same way, it's going to be much easier to be productive. This is why culture is a very important topic in many tech companies nowadays. There are many different frameworks, mindsets, principles that you can use in order to make sure that you deliver your work properly. Some of the ones that are used by many of the different tech companies out there are, for example, design thinking, agile, extreme programming. There are a lot of them, but basically they focus on how can we deliver fast, learn from our mistakes, learn from the experience from our users, adapt, learn, and collaborate with each other. So make sure that you deliver in small packages, that you don't go for this huge thing that you probably never know how it's going to work, but that you deliver small chunks and learn from each small chunk how could I be moving forward. Because each part, each time that you deliver a small piece of value to your customer or towards your goal, you are actually going to learn from that small value that you're delivering. And in order to be more productive, you should be able to think in this way, to be able to break down and deliver value as soon as possible and not hold into the value. Release it as soon as possible, gather feedback, learn from the potential mistakes, learn from the experience, move on, and work together. Number 7. Finally, in order to be more productive, you have to make sure that you are able to catch up with the times. Not even to catch up with the times, but to stay ahead of the times. You have to make sure that you are able to innovate. And most of the people and companies are working on things and based on goals that are very close to where they are right now, but they are not working towards the long term. This means that potentially companies, for example, are looking a lot on revenues. What are the revenues that they have to achieve, and potentially what are the things that they should be looking, because the customers have been asking for this. These are very important things, don't get me wrong, but sometimes, for example, revenues or achieving the revenues, achieving what your customers are asking for is not going to change, for example, what you want to achieve in the long term. It's not going to bring that potential disruption to the market that is not going to happen through a normal type of feedback loop. Let's move on. Let's not talk about Tesla. Let's talk about Apple. Apple, when they created the iPhone, realistically, people were not asking for that. Apple brought it and suddenly everybody wanted an iPhone. So think about this. You had to be innovative to be able to do these jumps on technology, jumps on innovation. Make sure that you are able to focus on building these new things that are actually going to help you move forward. And this potentially is not so linked to productivity, but when you think about it, if you are not doing these leaps, if you are not doing these advancements on the technology, productivity, what might happen is that your company, you as a person, starts to stay behind others. And when you stay behind others, then potentially you're going to have a much more of a struggle to be able to deliver and to move forward and to be more productive. So for example, your ways of working can be quite old if you're not able to innovate. Productivity is something that is very easy to miss. It's something that is easy to actually overlook. And we just tend to just pile up our days with things to do, but maybe they are not the right things to do. I hope that this video has helped you to understand that there's better ways of trying to understand the way that you work and trying to understand how you should be prioritizing your work, how you should be arranging your work, so to make sure that what you're building is the right thing and maybe not something that people are actually not needing. We probably all have been there where we are sending emails, reports that we think everybody needs, that we send them weekly, and nobody's reading them. That is just basically the opposite of being productive. We are spending our time in building reports that nobody actually cares about because they don't bring anybody. So being productive, being able to understand if what we are building is something that brings value to our customers, to our workflows, to whatever it is, then we are going to be tackling and being able to be much more productive. And before closing the video, I want to give a last tip. You have to be able to pace yourself. You have to be able to make sure that you don't put too much work to yourself. This is not going to help you being productive. Being able to pace yourself is going to help you avoiding burnout, being stressed, being able to actually work and concentrate on the work that you're doing. When you are in focus, when you are able to pace yourself, it relates a little bit to what I said earlier, you're going to be able to be much more productive. So remember to take it easy as well, although sometimes it's easier said than done. And we all know because we all been there. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, it helps a lot the channel. I will see you in the next video, and remember, stay safe.